Hey everybody, welcome. This is Tutor Justin, and welcome to the YouTube channel, where I'm going to go through different subject matters: math, statistics, economics, accounting, physics, biology, all these different subject matters for students, and how specifically ChatGTP is there to help you. I want to preface this by saying I don't think it is good enough to not go to class. ChatGPT just isn't quite there. Where nothing beats actually going to class and learning from a human, flat out. It is the best when you go to class. You're there. You, you, when you go to class, it really helps the learning portion because the visualization. When you're learning something, you want to try to touch, feel, try to get all the senses, as many senses as possible, and nothing beats a good lecture. But one thing I do think ChatGPT does is it can replace a textbook. It does a phenomenal job of explaining. I'll show you this video here that we're going to go through today is about polynomials and factoring, and it shows step by step on can it check your work. If you don't know how to do it, can it explain step by step on how to do it. It does the whole nine, and it is awesome. And it's limitless. But again, I do not believe that it can replace an actual lecture. It's just, again, an added tool. It can replace a tutor like me for 80% of you. Some people that have a good foundation and just trying to figure out the tweaks, it's there to help. If you really don't know how to do if the whole subject matter itself is difficult and you don't understand it at all, it gives a decent basis, but you would probably need a tutor then. But again, when there's a solid foundation, you need a quick refresher. You need something in the beginning of the semester you went over and you just can't quite remember how to do it from the beginning of the semester. Boom, it's there. It's quick. It's easy. Gives a great explanation. But again, it does not replace a lecture. I don't care. And also, it's not cheating. All the olds out there that are professors are saying, "Oh, ChatGPT is just cheating." No, it's not. I don't believe it's cheating at all. And it's coming from a tutor. I've been tutoring students for 12 years now, and I think this is a great tool. It is a better version of Googling. Google has been there. People have been copying and pasting, and that's why they had great things like Turnitin.com, where they can grab all these papers and compare them to different things on the web and different papers that have been turned into Turnitin.com, and it catches it. They're going to find a way to stop all of that type of cheating. But if somebody wants to do it, they're going to do it regardless. If ChatGPT was here or not, they're going to figure out how to cheat. This isn't cheating. This is a tool that helps the students because no matter what, you still got to perform on the exam. This helps the students on the homework. You're not supposed to do terrible on the homework. You have all the time in the world. You're actually supposed to do well on homework. So if you're there checking your answers for the homework, it's going to take time to check all the answers, but you learn it that way. That's the beauty of it. That's how you learn, by repetition and doing that, and not getting the incorrect answer. So all those olds that are saying it's there and it's just cheating, it's not. It could save you money from a tutor like me. Hey, I understand. I understand that ChatGPT is here to stay, and these it can replace me. And I get it. So that's why I've adapted to, well, can't beat them. Join them. Well, okay, so this video we're going to talk about today is all about polynomials, factoring, solving for x, trying to expand multiplying polynomials. So it's a great video. Don't forget to click the subscribe. If there's a subject matter you want to talk about, go ahead and put a comment down below. And here we go. Okay, what I have here is a homework sheet that is given to you by your professor It's just about polynomials. We're going to show how polynomials, how ChatGPT handles different types of these practice problems. I have 3 here. We're just going to do a simple FOIL, factoring, and then I know I always forget sometimes how to factor with the cube root, cube root to the power of 3. So we have these. And again, nowadays, you don't normally get problems like this. It's very few and far between. I've realized a lot of it is online through Pearson. Sometimes they put it on Blackboard or Canvas. But it's all relatively the same. You could just copy and paste the questions one by one. I actually recommend doing it one by one so you can kind of focus on one question, then move on to the next, and then the one after. Don't try to do all 3 or all 10 or all 15. The more questions you put at ChatGPT, the harder or the more likely it's going to mess up. It thinks pretty well, but it's better when it's just focused on one thing. So I would recommend just doing it problem by problem. And so I have ChatGPT here open. I've already uploaded it. I've uploaded the file, and it just said I uploaded the homework file I want to go over. And what's wild is sometimes it'll just say, okay, thank you, ask me any questions you have. And then sometimes, like this one, it actually went through it just started with number 1. So it went through, it went through all of them, all 3 of them. So, which is wild. Sometimes if there's a lot of questions, it says, it normally doesn't do this, so it's kind of cool that it did. I normally don't like if it does. I just want to go question by question. I find that's the best, not only results, but for you as a student going over it, it's a lot easier. Just to go question by question, like I previously had said. One thing that I do want to say, if you're going to upload files, always recommend uploading them in a PDF. I do not recommend Word. It doesn't read Word documents very accurately, especially for some reason after it gets down to the first page. So save it as a PDF, upload it as a PDF file. I like to upload it as a PDF file, and then you can just ask questions. Hey, I'm looking at number 1, number 2, or have two browsers open, one with a ChatGPT and one with your homework, and you can copy and paste it going back and forth there. Well, the setup that I normally have, I'm actually usually going between the browser on my computer and then on my phone. One thing I've noticed that is easy to do, because it's math, right? There's math, statistics. A lot of the stuff you're doing, you're going to write down, or you might want to take a picture and upload, and you can do that on the iPad or a tablet or the phone version, the app that's on all of them. So I would recommend doing that so you can upload it. I'm just going to have it right here on my iPad. I think it makes it easier to see. So we'll get started here. So first thing you want to do is I'm going to go add, and we're going to take a picture. I've already taken a picture, or I have already completed some of this homework. The questions that you want to ask yourself, how good is ChatGPT with this? So as you can see in number 1, I didn't okay, cool. I didn't add correctly here. So it should be 8x instead of 4x here. So I want to see if it catches it. Because when you're doing homework, those little things happen to you. It does. Shit happens, right? So that does happen to you. So what I want to do is, can ChatGPT catch it? So also I did that. I messed up purposely on 1 and 2 just to see if it catches it and shows how it explains it. And then number 3, let's say you don't remember how to factor. There are times when you get a homework problem and you're like, what the hell do I fucking do? And that's okay. We don't know. So let's just see how it does, talking through how to factor it completely. So let's start with number 1. So we're going to hit next. And then I said, I want to check my answers for number 1. Please. I've watched too many movies. You always want to be nice because if AI ever takes over, you just never know. So always say please, thank you. Sometimes it takes a bit. You know that there's different GPTs that you can choose from. If you don't do the paid version, then you can't really upload homework or you can't upload anything. So I actually do recommend the paid version only because it's cheaper than an actual tutor. You should be able to replace me as a tutor with this for about 80% of you, because there's a lot of people who just need a little help here and there, a little confirmation, and sometimes reading this could help. This again does not replace a professor one bit. I strongly believe it does not replace a professor. It can replace your textbook, but not a professor. So as it starts going through number 1, it says you've written down the expanded form as 2x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 12. Okay. FOIL method, combine like terms. After reviewing your steps, your final expression should be 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. It seems you've combined 8x and 3x incorrectly. The correct combination of like terms is 5x, not 4x. Perfect. Boom. And that's what it did here. So it should be 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. And it showed you exactly how it did. Problem like this. Perfect. This is great. Something, because that is super easy mistake to make. When you're going fast, that 5x and that negative and the addition sign, and sometimes it just sucks when you're taking your exam or when you're doing your homework and something minuscule like that, and you get the whole answer wrong. Because when you do online exams, you don't get to show your work, and that is one thing I really hate about it. Because you can do the entire thing right, except for miss a step here, and you get the whole question wrong. I think math is something that should be predicated on partial credit, because in the real world, you really need to understand the process, which is just as important as the correct answer. So perfect. It showed it. It explained it, what we did wrong. And now let's move on to number 2. Now can you read perfect? Oh, sorry. Let's delete that. Thank you. Now let's move on to number 2. Answers should be on the picture I uploaded with number 1. Sometimes you have to be very explicit with ChatGPT. If you're vague and say, okay, let's move on to number 2, and you don't reference that last thing, you always want to reference everything you can, because sometimes, as smart as it can be, it's not like it's talking to a human. You're talking to a robot. So it won't, unless you explicitly say reference it. It more likely won't reference, and then it'll say, hey, can you upload your answers, or what did you get for number 2? And this is how I would do number 2. So we factored out using the quadratic here. We factored out using the quick shortcut. The quick shortcut is what multiplies for the constant but adds up for the middle term. And I put x plus 3 x minus times x minus 2, and that's incorrect. It should be x minus 3 x minus 2. And let's see, it showed how to do it. Your factoring was almost correct, but you introduced a sign error. Perfect. It should be, the correct factors are x minus 3 x minus 2, not x plus 3 x minus 2. This leads to roots x3 and x2, not x minus 3 and x minus 2. Perfect. So it should be, and then that's how you write your answer down. Perfect. Then ChatGPT did a good job of explaining what you did wrong, how you're supposed to solve the equation. That's the big thing when this tool isn't just, hey, can I check your answers? Hey, how do you solve it? How do we go about solving it? And for some of you, that's you have like 80% of it correct, and you're trying to figure out what's that last 20%, what do I do? Or sometimes how to start it. ChatGPT does a great job on how to actually solve that in this case, especially when you're talking about factoring. It actually was very explicit on how to factor, as you can see, and what we did wrong. Awesome. That's awesome. Now let's move to number 3 when it's factoring. Number 3 here, we're trying to factor completely x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 12. How the hell do we do that? I can't remember. Sometimes it's hard to remember when we're taking stuff to a power of 3. So now thank you. Now let's move to number 3. I don't know how to factor to the power of 3. So it'll think. It's taking its time. It's not instantaneous, as you can see, but it'll start saying, all right, so let's work through problem number 3. And it's going to start going through cubed factors. I always recommend each chat you do each homework. So if you're going over, like this is my polynomial homework, this will be my polynomial chat, and then I'll open up a new chat for the next homework. I believe the next one will be system of equations. So we'll see how ChatGPT handles system of equations. But this one here says no problem. It's still thinking. Sometimes it takes a bit. We need to find a value that makes sense. A little bit of trial and error. Perfect. Okay, we can try simple values like 1, -1, because all of these, the reason why that it's asking you those things, because all of those things multiplied together, multiplied times, you can multiply everything together to get 12 3 times, right? 3 times 4 times 1 is 12. 3 times 2 times 2 is 12. 6 times 2 times 1, 12 times 1 times 1. So you know that there's going to be some type of multiplicative of 12 in our answer. Once we have the quadratic, we can factor. Use synthetic division. All right, let's try x1. Okay. If you type in 1, so it's 1 minus 3 minus 4 plus 12 isn't going to equal 0. So we know 1 and minus 1 are not correct roots. We know that. Why? Because it's just, if you plug in 1 and -1 to x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 12, you add 1 minus 3 minus 4 plus 12. It doesn't equal 0. So 1 and -1, so it's analyzing. So it's saying, hey, let's find the correct roots and then use synthetic division. -2 and 2. Perfect. So we know it can be 2 and -2. So if we type in 2 cubed is 8, minus 3 times 2 squared, 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 8 minus 12. Minus 4 times 2, 8, plus 12. So we have 8 minus 12 minus 8 plus 12, which equals 0. So we know 2 is correct. And because we have a cubed and something to the power of 3 and then the power of 1, we know that -2 will be 1 as well. Perfect. So we know x has to be negative 2 and x has to be 2. So now we just need to find the third, and it says use the roots to write the factored form. Given the roots now, so then now that you know it's 2 and 2, how did you get 3? So what if you're still confused? We understand we found those, the x plus 2, x minus 2. Now if you, I still don't understand how you found x equals 3. Let's see if it explains it. Just see what it does. We know that 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 times 3 has to be 12 because the constant. We need to have 3 numbers that multiplied by each other has to equal 12. So if we know 2 and negative 2, so we would have to know that x equals 3, rational root theorem, guess and check. A common fed, so they just did guess and check, rational root. Synthetic division is the easiest one when you use 2. And if you have any questions, ask what synthetic division is, rather than guess and check. So what this is saying, let's do a calculation. It just plugged in 3. We know 3 equals 0. Okay. So synthetic division, that is the one that probably the easiest one rather than guess and check, or you can use the rational root theorem. And if you need any questions on those, just go ahead and ask. Can you show me how you used synthetic division? And then once you have a process and you understand, now you can, boom, ask it. Now when you have problems, you have a baseline, or you have a problem, another finding 0, another factoring with the power of 3, a polynomial with the power of 3. Now you know exactly kind of the process. And then once you know your process, rather than it giving you a few different ones, you can just start by, hey, I'm trying to use synthetic division to find this equation. How do you do it? And you can just start from there rather than go and finding a way. Now, like, you can just start from there rather than it just giving it to you and taking a little bit more time, which is perfect because that's what you want to do. You want to find what works for you. What works for you might not work for me, might not work for Joe, might not work for Sarah, might not work for Jessica. It's all going to be kind of different because there's usually 16 different ways to solve an equation, solve a problem, especially with math. So, and then it right here, perfect. It goes to show you how to, this means that x minus 3, perfect. And it goes to show you exactly how to use synthetic division. Doesn't really say that much. Sometimes you have to ask it a little bit different. Can you please provide me a detailed step-by-step explanation on how to solve this or how to use synthetic division in this scenario. Because it just says, certainly using synthetic division. Oh, that's cool. Oh, it said minus 3. Yep. So write down the coefficients and boom. Now it gives you a step-by-step explanation. And this is great. Write down the coefficients of the polynomial in descending orders of power for x, for our polynomial coefficients, 1, negative 3, negative 4. So boom, it just kind of goes down the line. A good detailed explanation on how to solve this using or how to use synthetic division, which is really cool. Sometimes you just need a refresher too. When you're trying to review for an exam, like this is perfect if you're trying to review for an exam and you kind of already done it, but this was something you did way back in the beginning of the semester and you're just like, what the hell? How do I do this? And then boom, gives you a refresher. So that sets it up, giving a very detailed explanation, which is awesome. Carrying it down, showing exactly how to do it there. That is awesome. And again, this works. Don't try to force it to do 4 problems at once. Really, because if you think about it, it kind of overloads it. And I've tried putting as many problems as it can. Usually after the second one, it'll just say, and repeat these steps for the other ones. And if you have any questions, please let me know. It's like, all right, I ain't going to fucking do it all. All right, you do a little bit. We'll talk about it. It's not made for cheating, right? It's not made for you to just sit there and copy and paste the answers. It's for you to learn. It really tries to give you explanations on how to do it. Right here, the more questions you ask, just again, using the word detailed explanation, it really provided a step-by-step process on how to use synthetic division. So again, ask it certain questions like that. Detailed explanation, step-by-step answers. Those are things that you really want them to use. And this is how we use ChatGPT for polynomials. One thing that is cool that I think you will, what I think separates it from the textbook, separates it from anything else, is the fact that why we were good at math growing up, elementary school? Repetition. So it can provide questions for you. So can you please provide me with 5 similar questions to the from the homework I uploaded? And then also say thank you. Thank you. Boom. So now it's going to ask, can you now? I asked that. Certainly. Here's 5 similar problems. Expand, solve the quadratic factor completely. It'll go through more. And then you can just practice. And then you can say, hey, can you increase the level of difficulty? Can you make these a little bit harder? So, for example, when you go to solve the quadratic equation, it might not be as simple. You might actually have to use the quadratic equation and not try to factor it shorthand. And then you can keep asking it questions so you can practice. And then, obviously, you can have it go over the answers with you so you can make sure you did it correctly. And this is just a great tool on practicing your homework, practicing your math. And this is one way that ChatGPT can help you with your math. Okay, thank you for checking out my video. Please do the whole like and subscribe. If you have any questions, just send a comment down below. If you have a topic that you want me to go over, show you how ChatGPT can help you with that subject matter, that topic, just shoot me a comment and I'll try to put a video together. But again, just to reiterate, still go to class. This isn't something to replace your professor, but it can replace your textbook and it can replace your tutor. All right, have a good one. Peace.